crackling all over his body, could touch the downed wire without getting electrocuted, seemingly unbothered when an arc like lightning zapped between him and the line. The only good thing that came from that disastrous night was that our town, formerly known as Stream in the Woods, distanced itself from the rest of the world after we turned into monsters. Horror stories circulated about screaming woods, and most people left us alone, which worked perfectly for me, because I became even more of a recluse after I became a demon.
1. Soraya. Starting the first book in a new series turned out to be much more difficult than I expected. My writer's block reminded me of my challenges when writing my second book. Sitting down at the computer and letting your imagination run wild when nobody knew what you were doing was one thing. But once people read your work, they had expectations they weren't afraid to share with you. And when a series ended up being as successful as mine, the outside voices interfered too easily with the ones of the fictional characters in your head. I thought I had gotten pretty good at ignoring them while writing the 10 additional shifter romances that finished that series. I had no idea it would be harder to start from the beginning all over again. When I signed the contract for this book with my publisher, I had an entire year to finish it. However, I was now down to less than 2 months without making any progress at all. I had written tens of thousands of words, only to delete them all because I wasn't happy with how the story flowed. The first book was incredibly important because it built the fictional world for all the others that would follow. But for some reason, the witches I had dreamed up several years ago weren't cooperating now that it was their turn, which meant every time my agent called, I dreaded the conversation. Staring down at the screen of my phone, I braced myself for her reaction to my continued lack of progress. Forcing an upbeat tone, I answered, "Good morning, Christine. How are you today?" "It would be a heck of a lot better if you told me the new book is done." I winced as I replied, "I really wish I could say that, but it's nowhere near ready for anyone to read it." "Have you made some progress at least? If I sent the acquiring editor a few chapters, it might appease them for now," she suggested. I stared at the blank screen of my computer in front of me and shook my head. "No, I'm sorry, but that won't work either." The impatience was clear in Christine's tone as she asked, "How many words have you finished so far?" Counting the ones that I've deleted?" I hedged. "No, the words that'll be read by someone other than you," she snapped. "And I certainly hope you save those in another file instead of actually deleting them. You never know what story they might fit into later, or how we can use them as deleted scenes for marketing." Of course I saved them, although it had been a close thing a few times because I'd been so frustrated. Luckily, I backed my files up to an external hard drive and the cloud, so I was able to retrieve those deleted words once I was thinking more clearly. Thank goodness for that, at least. And I have a plan. I squeezed my eyes shut and slapped my hand over my mouth after making the announcement that wasn't even a little bit true. "One that will get you 80,000 words in the next 6 weeks?" Christine drawled, doubt thick in her tone. I infused as much confidence in my voice as I could and said, "Yep." "Sounds like a hell of a plan. What are you going to do? Mainline caffeine?" Biting my bottom lip, I mentally scrambled. And then it came to me, a story I'd read online last year. "I'm renting a cabin in Screaming Woods." "Screaming Woods?" she echoed. "Yeah, it's this town kind of in the middle of nowhere that had something super weird happen a couple of decades ago. Supposedly, a bunch of monster-like people live there," I explained, warming up to the idea as I talked. "Even if they're just into a monster lifestyle and have done some unusual body modifications, I'm sure I'll find plenty of inspiration from..."